Good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Like I previously mentioned, this session will be recorded and shared out later. So if you come in late or if you would like to share with a friend, I will make that available to you after today's session. We also ask that you keep your microphone on mute for the presentation. This just helps with some of the feedback noise. There will be a question and answer session towards the end of the presentation. And we encourage you to throw your questions while we're presenting, and we'll get to them at the Q&A session. So we're just going to start out with a brief introduction of all the speakers. So first up, my name is Erica Newhard. I am the new Dementia Outreach Coordinator here at United Way of the Greater Lehigh Valley. On this call, we also have Carmen Bell, who is our Director of Healthy Aging. Carmen, do you want to say anything real quick about yourself?
Just that I'm delighted that everybody's here, and we're so appreciate the support that we receive to create this education and awareness. And we're very grateful to our partners at LVHN and AARP for being with us today. So just very helpful that we're all collaborating in this space together to help our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have some technical difficulties here. Okay. Next up, we have Wendy Scott. Wendy, would you like to say anything about yourself? Introduce to the group.
Hi, I'm Wendy Scott. I'm the Elder Life Educator at the Fleming Memory Center. So thank you.
Thank you. And then we also have Sue Delling, who is a volunteer presenter from AARP. She will be doing the 6 Pillars of Brain Health presentation later on in this session. So thank you, Sue.
Good morning.
And then here's our presentation overview. So we're going to start out with about a 15-minute presentation on memory loss. That'll be presented by Wendy Scott. And then from there, we will transition into a little bit longer of a session on brain health from AARP. That'll be presented by Sue. We will wrap up with a Q&A session. So like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We will get to them during that session. And then, of course, a thank you to our partners. So without further ado, here you are.
Okay, all right, so thank you. So what is dementia? And for those of you that this is new to you, this is just a brief background into dementia. So dementia is a general term for the impaired ability to think, remember, or make decisions that can interfere with daily living. As you can see by the visual, we use the term, it's an umbrella term for various forms such as Alzheimer's disease, vascular disease, Lewy body disease, and frontotemporal dementia. So there are many different forms of dementia. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, accounting for roughly 50 to 75% of all dementia cases. It is also important to note that dementia is unique to every single individual living with dementia, and not everyone has the same experiences, and this is not a one-size-fits-all illness. Some common misconceptions are that dementia is just a normal part of aging, or that it is a disease that only older people get. While the majority of those living with dementia are age 65 and older, it is not limited to just older adults, and it is not a normal part of aging. Okay, next slide. Signs and symptoms. Because dementia affects everyone differently, the symptoms can vary from person to person. Common symptoms of the disease are centered around forgetfulness, mood, personality changes, and confusion. Some examples of this may be getting lost in a familiar neighborhood, forgetting the words for common objects, forgetting the names of family members or close friends, forgetting memories, or even making up stories about their past. Also, changes in mood or behavior, and inability to complete tasks independently. Now, as previously mentioned, dementia is not a normal part of aging. However, some of the symptoms might mimic things that are normal signs of aging, such as forgetting where you put something or taking longer to complete a specific task. The key distinction here is that dementia is this cognitive effect is much more progressive and has an impact on one's activities of daily living. Next slide. This slide lists several of risk factors for developing dementia. Now, just because you have one or more of these risk factors does not necessarily mean that you will develop dementia. It just means that you are at an increased risk of developing the disease at some point in your life. The strongest risk factor is age. The majority of those diagnosed with dementia are age 65 and older, so increased age is strongly correlated with development of the disease. Another key factor is family history, and those who have an immediate family member, such as a parent or a sibling with dementia, are far more likely to develop dementia themselves. Researchers also know that race and ethnicity play a role in dementia. Older African Americans are twice more likely to have dementia than their white counterparts, and Hispanics and 1.5 times more likely to have dementia than those who are white. Other indicators include poor heart health, a history of traumatic brain injury, conditions such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, and head injuries. All increase the likelihood of developing dementia. This is something that we touch on a little bit later in when we talk about the brain health portion of the presentation. Next slide. The infographic on the left-hand side reveals some alarming statistics surrounding dementia. Researchers know that 2 to 3 of all individuals living with dementia are females, and it predominantly affects older adults. Every 67 seconds, someone in the United States is diagnosed with the disease. And in the last 13 years, dementia-related deaths have increased 71%. There is a short 1-minute clip on the bottom right-hand side that you'll see that is created. It was created by the Alzheimer's Association and provides a very brief overview of the disease. Go ahead. Okay, is there anything that stuck out to anyone that stuck out the most to anybody? You can raise your hand and then Erica can unmute you. No? Okay. All right, next slide. Okay, treatment of dementia varies depending on the underlying cause. For neurodegenerative dementia, such as Alzheimer's disease, there is no cure. Though there are medications that can help protect the brain or manage symptoms such as anxiety or behavior changes, we do not currently have a medication to cure the disease. Research to develop more treatment options is ongoing. And the infographic on the right-hand side discusses various factors that may help with the progression of the disease, such as an early diagnosis, keeping active, talking with your doctor about treatment options, and attending information and support sessions. Some preventative factors, such as living a healthy lifestyle and exercising regularly, may help to decrease your chances of developing chronic diseases and dementia, which will lead to the next part of the presentation.
So this is where our brain health presentation comes in. I am going to stop sharing my screen so that Sue can start sharing hers. There you are.
All right. So first off, and I will read the disclaimer because it's really important. This session is intended to be informational and educational and does not constitute medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You should always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare provider for diagnosis and treatment of your specific medical needs. For questions regarding personal health or medical conditions, and before beginning or changing any treatment, activity, program, or dietary plan, AARP is not responsible for the consequences of any decisions or actions taken in reliance upon or as a result of the information provided during this event. Okay, so I am not a doctor or a counselor or psychologist. I am an educator and a teacher and in education for the last 50 years. So I enjoy. I have wonderful, great news. Regardless of our age, there are things we can do to reduce the chance of age-related diseases and optimize our chance of maintaining cognitive health. Only 30% of our health, our physical health and our mental health depends on our genes. Okay, the 70% is up to us, and so we can make a difference. It used to be thought that when we were born, we had all the brain power that we were ever going to have. But that's not true. It has been discovered that we can make changes and help our own mental health condition, our own brain. I just want to point out two individuals that I find just astounding. It's Dr. John B. Goodenough. He is presently 100 years old, and he is at the University of Texas, Austin. He received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry when he was 97 years old in 2019. And then one of the oldest pianists is Ruth Slanjenska, and she was a pupil of Rachmaninoff. And this year, she released a new album called My Life in Music. Right, so there are certainly many other individuals who are in their 90s and beyond who are productive individuals in our society. AARP has identified 6 areas that really make a difference in how we age. The first is to be more social, be social, don't isolate. Second is to engage our brain. Third is to manage our stress. I know these times are extremely stressful, but there are ways to manage the stress. Fourth would be ongoing exercise. You knew that was going to be there. Fifth, though, might have been a surprise. Restorative sleep, the importance of sleep in our lives. And then 6, again, something we probably know would be there, is to eat right. Okay. Well, why is it important? Why is brain health more important than ever? Well, a couple of reasons, a couple of good reasons. We'd like to live longer and to live a more productive life, or more valuable life, meaningful life. Some of us are rethinking retirement, and it's new. Some are staying employed longer, either because we like to be employed and like what we're doing, or because of financial reasons. Health costs, care costs are skyrocketing. So staying healthy is extremely important to kind of offset that cost of healthcare. And then there's current brain research. There's a lot of research being done with the brain. Okay. First pillar is to stay social. And I know in the last few years, for some of us, that might be difficult, getting out and staying engaged, but we can do it online, either through presentations such as this, or by taking a class online, by maybe starting a book club online. There are many ways to do it. Some of us are getting back out and into the community, which is great. We need to avoid isolation. And some of us can be isolated even when there are individuals around us. I just think of people in nursing homes, how they might feel isolated, even though there are many individuals around them. So isolation we need to avoid that as much as possible. Well, and then the list here are just suggestions. AARP has a volunteer portal where you can volunteer online. There's some volunteer opportunities to be able to work online if you are concerned about getting out. You might want to adopt a pet, and you might hear my pet in the background. Sometimes if somebody walks by, he lets me know. There are community events. AARP does have a community portal with activities. So staying active and social is extremely important for our brain health. Okay, on the screen, there are the links to different organizations. Create the Good, which is volunteer opportunities with AARP. All of these, by the way, are free and free of charge. The last one, if you know somebody who is isolated and would like a phone call and would like some support, AARP has what's called a friendly voice. They have it in both English and in Spanish. In the handouts that we have today for you, this information will be part of the handout so that you don't have to scurry and take some notes. But these are all valuable. Personally, I like the Create the Good, the volunteer opportunities, but the community center has some great activities, and they're fun and they're online as well as out in person. Second pillar is to engage, and there's many ways we can do that and to engage our brain. First is by learning new ideas or learning new things, pursue new interests or stay curious, taking a course or teaching a course. Many of us have lifetime experience that we could share with other individuals, ideas and new ideas. To challenge our thinking, again, by learning something new, learning a new dance step, learning to play an instrument, learning a new language. Our learning doesn't have to stop because we're 65 or 70 or 75 or 80 or 85. Or in the case of Dr. Goodenough, he's 100 and he's still teaching at the University of Texas. So to stay learning new things and stay active, keep our mind engaged. And maybe you're a quilter or an artist. In the area of playing challenging games, there's still a lot of research being done on just how that might affect our brain or improve our brain power. So it's not set in stone yet that that's a positive way, but certainly a good way to keep engaged. Okay, the third pillar is to manage our stress. Again, these times, and looks like they're going to manage stressful activities, to manage that stress. You might be thinking, gee, how can I do that? Exercise is a good form of stress management. Taking a walk, smiling and laughing. reading the funnies. I don't know if anybody reads the funnies anymore, but my husband, we still get the paper, kind of old fashioned that way. And the first thing he reads is not the headlines, but the funnies. So he can laugh. And when he chuckles, it's just great. We can distract ourselves with music or reading if it's without having to go back through the stressful event or idea. Sometimes we fixate on that, bill that we have to pay and where are we going to get the money, and just keep going back over and over, and our stress builds. So by distracting ourselves with music or reading, that's a way to take us and refocus ourselves. And then to seek out green spaces. I'm fortunate enough that I live on an old farm, and we have lots of green spaces and lots of critters. We take a walk every day. So kind of after doing this presentation, I always renew a commitment to, I'm going to add that to my routine. So hopefully that'll help you as well. Some additional ideas would be you can confide in to stay silent and still. This is to manage stress, right? Just to meditate, to count our breaths as we breathe is a good way to just kind of calm and just focus on your breath in and out. Take stretch breaks. When you get done, move yourself away from a screen and get up and move around and stretch. Limit the screen time. Don't spend hours upon hours on looking at the screen. And then again, deep breathing. There's a lot online information about how to do that, but it's just as simple as taking a deep breath and then holding a little and then letting it out. Helps to manage stress. Ongoing exercise. All right. If you notice, she's using her computer to work out. Okay, and important, I'm going to read this first. Talk to a healthcare provider before you start any new exercise program. Make certain that everything's a go. And the recommended time for exercise per week is 150 minutes each week. What does it do for us? Well, it helps repair and protect our brain chemicals. It increases our circulation. It helps to reduce anxiety and improve our sleep, and reduces the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and depression and stroke. All important. What are good exercises? Well, walking, okay, or being a little bit more physical, dancing, running, biking, doing strength training, like twice a week, you could do strength training. I get my words all mixed. And then something I truly enjoy is Tai Chi and then yoga. I just found a video online on Tai Chi, and I do the Tai Chi along with the instructor. I don't know if I've never tried yoga, but maybe some of you have, and that's great. Those will help with balance. Okay, this one again might surprise you, the restorative sleep. Sleep is really important. Good sleep is really important. Okay, it's important to get enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night in a 24-hour period. Practice good sleep techniques, maintain a regular sleep-wake schedule, get up at the same time every morning, and then get that 7 or 8 hours. Some of us, as we age, things are not going to be the same as when we were in our 20s. We might go to bed earlier. Okay, say you go to bed at 9 o'clock, and then you get up at 5. You get your 8 hours in. But that's okay. We get up early, then we go to bed early. But that regular routine is important for our brain health. And then during the day, make sure you expose yourself to outdoor light. and that's extremely important. Then during the evening, okay, preparing ourselves to go to bed, preparing the space that we sleep in, to remove any extra light from that space. Like if you have your phone, what I do sometimes, I keep my phone, my cell phone, but I flip it upside down so that I don't see any light from it. It's not necessarily good to have a television or any disruptive types of inside the bedroom. In the bedroom, kind of keep that area as your sleep area. If you have a pet that may disturb you during the night, that pet maybe sleeps in another area of the house. And just preparing for sleep, caffeine. Don't drink any caffeinated beverages after, say, your lunch hour, the noon hour. Keeping your getting enough sunlight during the day so that you have the daylight, and then at night have the dark. Okay, and again, our body's internal clocks might shift as we get older, going to bed earlier and getting up earlier, but that's all fine. Okay, this just kind of reinforces what I just went through. Being comfortable. And prepare area is extremely important. Okay. And the last one, last but not least, is an important one, is how we eat. To eat properly, eat healthy. There are, right now, there's a lot of research being done in the foods that are important for brain health, but we do know that if we eat less meat and sweets, that'll make us, first off, healthier. It's heart healthier, and being heart healthy is important to being brain healthy. If we consume more fish and seafood and nuts and grains and beans and the leafy green vegetables and olive oil. Now there's a number of diets out there, but I also want to point out, if after this you kind of want to do more research on a healthy lifestyle, there are what are called blue zones in the world. There are 5 identified blue zones. These blue zones have individuals who live exceptionally long lives. They're in Greece and Italy, Okinawa, Japan, Costa Rica, and also one blue zone is here in the United States in California at Loma Linda. So that these individuals, what the 6 pillars that we have, can be identified in the lifestyles of these individuals who are living exceptionally long lives into their 90s and beyond. All right, and their food lifestyle is just what is here on the screen, along with a lot of social and exercise and everything else that we've mentioned. There are several diets. You might have heard of the MIND diet, and which combines heart health and brain health. And so that you have kale and spinach and broccoli are good to add to your diet, and whole berries, any kind of frozen or canned. To switch out our high calorie salad dressings for vinegar and lemon and herbs and spices, to eat more fish, salmon, and sardines, and then also to add walnuts and almonds maybe to your salad. Grind it up and put it in the salad. Important additives, food to create. I notice here, if you see on the screen, there are chia seeds, and the blueberries, and it looks like oatmeal, just all kinds of good stuff. Looks exciting, and it's coming up to lunchtime. And then finally, First risk, and I'm sure you've heard it before, is smoking. Again, smoking is lung health, brain health, heart health, all of that's connected. Depression. Some people seem to think that depression is a natural part of aging. It is not. If you are depressed, I would recommend talk to your doctor, right? There are certain medications that could be dangerous for brain health. Again, make sure you speak to your physician, especially if you're taking over-the-counter drugs. Just talk to your doctor about them. Controlling and not getting diabetes or controlling diabetes is an important part of staying brain healthy. The diabetes causes our veins to weaken and again in the brain, and that can cause problems. Hearing or vision loss. If you're having hearing loss or vision loss, speak to your doctor. Talk to that individual about problems you may be having. And last, and certainly not least, is heart disease, stroke in patients. People can be devastating. So keeping our heart healthy also keeps our brain healthy. Okay. All right. Some ideas here, and it's really a good list to help us stay brain, improving our memory. Establish a routine. Where do you put your glasses when you take them off? Where do you put your car keys? Keeping them in the same place so that we know where they are, and just keeping that routine up is important for improving our memory. It might sound funny, but paying attention is important. We probably say that maybe as a teacher, I might have said it a few times, but paying attention, really focusing on what the words are and focusing in the moment is extremely important. Third, and I'm guilty of this, I like to multitask, but avoid multitasking. Okay, if you're going to the laundry room to get your laundry, and on the way you see lint on the floor, and that takes you off of going to take care of the laundry, and then you're getting the vacuum out to take care of the lint, that's multitasking, and it's not necessarily the best thing for our memory. Taking breaks, giving yourself a break several times during the day is good. Go outside for 5 or 10 minutes. Change the pattern of kind of you're focused on a screen. Get up and focus on doing a dance break. Don't laugh, but sometimes my husband and I will put a music on and we dance. We have our own in-house dance. Just take a break. And then the last is really important, to use calendars and reminders and alarms. If you're taking medications to set up, you can set up a phone alarm. My husband's famous for his sticky notes. I find them in places where he will be looking to remind himself of what to do. Our brains for ideas, not for holding things that we can put on a calendar or have a reminder or an alarm for. Every time I do this presentation, as I said before, I go away with a new idea and think, okay, I'm going to try this. So if there's one thing throughout that you may have struck you and said, boy, I could really do this, and make that change. It could be just a small change during the day. Do it, take a 10-minute walk or add an extra vegetable to your diet. Make an appointment for a health screening or physical exam. Some of us do better when we write it down. I do better, like if going to the grocery store, I write things out, and sometimes I forget the list, but because I've written it out longhand, I do remember, I recall that. And then to go out and get support from our family, our friends, or community groups to make that social connection. There are resources, and these are in the handouts for free. And again, it's with the Global Council on Brain Health. And then staying sharp. Okay. Says my, just want to, okay. Staying sharp is provided through the membership with AARP. And it's a great tool. It has all kinds of activities and articles right at your fingertips that you can, that kind of lead to healthy habits and good brain health. I would like to tell you that if you submitted your email address with that AARP will be sending out a survey, and the survey will start with today's date, which is 11/10/2022, and it's not mandatory. The survey will come in about 2 weeks, and it'll just, and again, it's not mandatory. It's just information that says, you know, asks you what you thought of the presentation, if it made a change for you. And it's very simple, but again, it's not mandatory, it's voluntary, and just checking to see how well the presentation went for you. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to share these ideas with you. Okay, Erica, I'm going to stop sharing.
Sounds good. And then I'm going to continue sharing the screen from before. Is everyone able to see this?
I can see it, yes.
Thank you, Sue. So this slide also has additional resources, links to the different websites. Like I said, this presentation will be recorded, and we will also be sending out the resources to everyone who attended today. And it's at this point that we are going to do the Q&A session. So I didn't see any questions pop into the chat while the presentation was going on. So if you'd like to come off mute and ask questions, we are here to answer any questions that you may have. And then if you think of anything later, my contact information is on this slide.
Hi, this is Hugh Boyd. What have you found to be effective as you're approaching a doctor, either for yourself or for a loved one, when you're talking to them about early identification, you know, of a condition? Because oftentimes they're hesitant to want to start down any kind of diagnostic path because it's not always easy to be able to say to identify or diagnose exactly what's going on.
Yeah, thank you, Hugh. I am going to let Wendy answer this question because she is in the medical field.
Yes, and I just want to preface, I'm not a doctor, so, but I can describe to you what we do here at the Fleming Memory Center, which is a geriatric physicians group. So if anybody just wants to get that diagnostic assessment done, they would just make an appointment here. It's about 1 hour where they'll do a couple of cognitive screenings. Nothing's on the computer. It's just a lot of just question and conversation with the doctor that can help get them started. But early diagnosis is recommended because with all of the different types of dementias that they are able now to almost pinpoint what type of dementia someone has. And depending on that type of dementia will lead to more effective caregiving, because caregiving styles may be different based on the type of dementia they have. So even with St. Luke's, I know that they have a geriatric physicians group where you could go and get a diagnosis of some sort. So it's really not as complicated. It's very simple process. And then once you get that diagnosis, then you can move forward from there. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Wendy, this is Sue Delling. I have a question. I have a friend, her father's in a nursing home, and the nursing home is pretty much locked down, so to speak. She can still go visit him, but he can't come out. One of the regs that they have is they can't leave the home, they can't leave their room. They don't go for group meals. The meal is delivered to their room. He pretty much stays in his room all day. And she has a real concern that he's physically okay, but that he's going to go down. He's 94 years old. He's going to go downhill. Mentally, he is sharp as a tack right now, but he's very upset that he can't leave the room, that he can't go visit his family. The family can come in, but he cannot leave. Do you have any recommendations?
That's
Wow.
really hard considering with everything, going through the last 3 years with COVID. Every facility, unfortunately, has different rules and regulations for that. Is this a temporary situation? Do they have a COVID outbreak that they want to help maintain some sort of low level of it, or has this been going on for the last 3 years? Because I know sometimes if there are some outbreaks, then they will go into quote unquote like a shutdown, if you will. So is it a temporary situation, or is this how it is?
Yeah, it must be temporary, because when
Okay.
he went into the facility, they were not locked down and he could
Okay.
leave. And so it must be an
Yeah,
outbreak.
if it's a temporary situation, then they're doing the best that they can. But again, it is based on every facility is different. So, but if it's only temporary, just try to visit him as much as possible. And if he's able to, like you spoke about doing things socially, virtually, if he's able to do that.
I don't think he can.
Okay.
Yeah, he pretty much sits and watches TV, and then once in a while this channel gets stuck and he doesn't even, he's not sure how to change it.
Okay. Yeah.
Stuck
Yeah.
like on QVC, which he's not interested in QVC.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But yeah, unfortunately, it is different for every facility. So,
All right. Just checking. Thank you.
mhm.
Are there any more questions? If there are, feel free to come off of mute. If not, we will go ahead and wrap this up and you will get a couple minutes back to your day. And like I said before, my information, my contact information is on this screen. So if you think of something later and you're like, oh, I wanted to ask this, but I forgot, feel free to reach out to me. And if I don't have the answer, I will get you in contact with someone who does. This last slide here is just a thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to AARP, our wonderful speaker, Sue, and Wendy for coming on and presenting for us this morning, as well as Age Friendly Lehigh Valley, the Alzheimer's Association, and the Fleming Foundation, who has really just allowed us to host these events. And that is all.